America's exorbitant privilege didn't collapse, it eroded through alternatives. Flint West reporting. There was no crash, no fireworks, no midnight currency reset, no dramatic announcement that the dollar era had ended. That's not how systems like this unwind. They don't explode, they thin out. For decades, the United States operated inside a structural advantage that economists politely called exorbitant privilege. Oil was priced in dollars. Global trade cleared in dollars. Central banks saved in dollars. Energy importers needed dollars before they needed oil. That circular demand created something extraordinary. The United States could issue liabilities in its own currency to obtain real resources, energy, goods, labor, from the rest of the world. Others exported goods to earn dollars. America exported dollars to earn goods. That asymmetry wasn't a conspiracy. It was a system design. Oil enforced it. If energy is the base layer of civilization, and it is, then the currency that denominates energy inherits gravity. For decades, that gravity pulled capital toward U.S. Treasury markets and away from alternatives. But systems built on exclusivity contain a flaw. They work until alternatives become viable. And alternatives don't arrive through rebellion. They arrive through optionality. In 2018, China launched yuan-denominated oil futures contracts. On paper, volumes were modest. Analysts dismissed them. The dollar still dominated Brent and WTI. But that wasn't the point. The point was the bridge. If oil could be sold for yuan, and yuan could be converted into gold, then the global energy system gained an exit door from exclusive dollar settlement, not a replacement. An option. That option changed incentives. Once oil had a credible pathway into gold without passing through the dollar system, gold re-entered the picture. Not as nostalgia, not as a gold standard revival, but as neutral collateral. Gold doesn't belong to a government. Gold can't be printed. Gold can't be sanctioned or frozen by keystroke. In a world where sanction risk became real and money printing accelerated, gold stopped being a relic and started becoming a hedge against jurisdictional risk. This is where the misunderstanding often begins. The world is not abandoning the dollar as a medium of exchange. It is reconsidering the dollar as a store of value. That distinction is everything. Trade can still be invoiced in dollars. Contracts can still clear in dollars. But surplus dollars no longer need to be stored indefinitely as treasuries. They can be converted faster, quietly, systematically. That is erosion, not collapse. This content is brought to you by Bobby Giggs. Promote your brand here and reach a wide audience across platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Follow the links in the description to get started. Oil producers do not wake up asking how to destabilize Washington. They wake up asking whether their revenue preserves purchasing power. If their export earnings buy fewer imports over time, food, technology, infrastructure, then nominal pricing is irrelevant. Real terms matter. Gold is a clean measuring stick for real terms because it is not someone else's liability. OPEC does not target the gold-oil ratio explicitly. It targets fiscal survival, but survival requires maintaining real purchasing power. And over long periods, gold is the audit trail of purchasing power. When the gold-oil ratio stretches too far in either direction, something adjusts: supply, demand, investment. Not because of a peg, because of constraint. Meanwhile, the United States faced its own structural choices. Cheap funding encouraged persistent deficits. Persistent deficits encouraged overreach. Overreach encouraged others to reduce vulnerability. Sanctions, once surgical tools, became systemic signals. If reserves can be frozen, then reserve diversification becomes rational. That does not require hostility. It requires prudence. Thus, the phrase that best captures the shift: the world still trades in dollars. It just doesn't save in them the same way. This does not end the dollar. It removes its monopoly on long-term trust. As automatic demand for U.S. liabilities softens, the United States faces arithmetic. Deficits can continue, but at higher yields. Or they can be absorbed domestically through regulation, central bank balance sheets, and financial repression. Or they can be inflated away gradually. None of these are dramatic. All are forms of adjustment. At the same time, the United States is not standing still. If monetary exclusivity weakens, a nation must generate new gravitational pull. Technology becomes the substitute engine. Digital assets, including Bitcoin, introduce a hard asset layer inside US aligned financial infrastructure. Artificial intelligence and synthetic labor promise productivity gains that could offset demographic and fiscal strain. Capital markets remain deep. Innovation ecosystems remain powerful. These are not accidents. They are adaptation attempts. The EV and green manufacturing race has shifted toward China's scale advantages. Rare earth supply chains expose vulnerabilities. Industrial policy returns not as ideology, but as necessity. Power projection becomes more expensive when supply chains fragment. Multipolarity does not mean American irrelevance. It means discipline returns. The tragedy, if there is one, is not decline. It is that success removed the constraints that once preserved balance. Monetary privilege delayed the feedback loop between policy and consequence. Alternatives restored it. Gold's reemergence is not an act of rebellion. It is an act of accounting. Oil remains the physical backbone of the global economy. Currencies remain the interface. Gold is reasserting itself as the neutral backstop when trust thins. Exorbitant privilege did not collapse in a spectacle. It eroded as the world built alternatives. An erosion, unlike crisis, is slow enough that many mistake it for stability. But erosion changes foundations just the same. Flint West, signing off.